and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
What's better than a baked potato? A loaded baked potato. What's better than an order of fries? An order of loaded fries. What's better than Locked In? How about a loaded installment of Locked In?
I was so curious where you were going.
I would venture to say we have a loaded show on tap for y'all today. It's interesting, isn't it, that the only things that seem to be, quote-unquote, loaded in the realm of food are variations of the potato? We have the loaded baked potato. We have loaded fries. We have loaded tots. We have loaded hash browns. Why are potatoes the only thing that we, quote-unquote, load?
I think it's because potatoes serve as a good base.
They really do, man. You can't go wrong with the potato. I understand why Ireland was in shambles centuries ago.
With the
when
potato
their potato
famine.
Yes. Man, I can. If we had to deal with the potato famine in America, our economy might collapse.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why Ireland was going through it during the potato famine. Gunny of Stutzman Army on the text line says, I'm loaded right now. I would expect nothing less. Gunny, I would expect nothing less. If you want to chime in throughout the show, please do so on the text line 405-651-3439. And speaking of loaded, one place that's got a loaded menu and provided a loaded spread for us in the office today is the Local in Norman, 110 West Main Street. They have locations in Norman, Mustang, and Yukon. Their fourth location in Moore is coming soon, currently under construction. They call their food Okie Cuisine. Things like fried green tomatoes, which are criminally underrated, just in general, fried deviled eggs, bison meatballs, chicken fried steak, Indian tacos, Okie burgers, bone-in pork chops. All that sound good? Yeah, it does. Hit up the Local at www.thelocalrestaurant.com. That's local with a K. Or on social media at The Local Norman. There are so many different places we could get started on this show, Grayson. But I want to begin with recent happenings in the city of Madison, Wisconsin. Because at the beginning of the week, we were discussing the reality that there were those in the building at the Switzer Center that were losing patience with the will he, won't he nature of the Jaden Petit saga. Of course, Petit, the 4-star commit from the state of Florida, pledged to the Badgers of Wisconsin, but visited Oklahoma at the end of October, took an official visit to Oklahoma back in June, and for some time, the OU staff has been pushing hard to flip him because he's an absolute alien of a football player, 6'4", 220 pounds, and will be in the running, very squarely in the running for Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Florida after a sensational senior season that is still ongoing, mind you, at St. John Newman High School. At the beginning of the week, we weren't really sure where this was all headed with Jaden Petit. And there were some seeds of doubt being sown even on the OU side of things. They were starting to wonder, okay, like, is this kid ever going to flip? And are we just going to keep sitting on our hands waiting and having the exact same conversations with this kid over and over again? Well, within the last 24, 36 hours, what we're finally witnessing, Grayson, is the implosion of Wisconsin's 2026 class. In the last 36 hours, I do believe, they've lost commitments from a pair of longtime offensive line pledges. Ben Novak, who flipped his pledge from Wisconsin to Indiana, and Maddox Cochran from the state of Virginia, who backed off his pledge, hasn't announced where he's going yet. He's not really sure where he's going yet, but he decommitted from Wisconsin the other day. And do you have the quotes in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm just going to let you read these quotes because Maddox Cochran, former Wisconsin offensive line commit, did something that not a ton of guys do when they decommit, which is to do an interview about the decision to decommit with a beat reporter or the beat reporters affiliated with the school from which they decommitted. And so Maddox Cochran decided to just kind of lay it bare with regard to his decision to commit to Wisconsin. Grayson, go ahead. Fire away here.
Well, where do you want me to start? Because this is nuts.
The I just can't part is great. How about we just go there?
Okay, so this is him talking about the decommitment. Quote, I just can't. I don't feel comfortable going that far and not being certain of where I would end up. This season is not going. I know it's a very hard schedule, but I thought it would be a different outcome. So there's that. And then there's more, because 2 paragraphs before that, he had said, quote, it wasn't so much this season. Obviously that played a part, but it's more of how I feel. I know Fickell will be back next year, but it's like I'm 13 hours away, not knowing what could happen anytime. Yeah, Fickell will be back, but what happens when we get 3 to 4 games in the season and it's not going how it's expected and I'm stuck?
Folks,
That's scathing.
it is scathing, and it's all entirely true. Like, I'm not really sure how you can, in total confidence, sign to play football for the Wisconsin Badgers right now, knowing full well there's a very good chance Luke Fickell is finally gonzo mid-season next year if things continue to trend in their current direction. They've already committed to Fickell for the 2026 season, but Maddox Cochran is from the state of Virginia. He's 13 hours away from home if he's going to play his college football at Wisconsin. Jaden Petit is from South Florida. He's got a lot further of a way to travel to go play college football in a scheme that is not tailored to the success of wide receivers, not conducive to the success of wide receivers in general, for a staff that more than likely is going to get turned over before the end of his freshman season.
Yes.
And so here's where this is important. Here's why I wanted to bring up the decisions from Cochran and Novak specifically, is because one of the things we've discussed repeatedly with Jaden Petit is the sense that he's a guy, and this is only natural for a 17-year-old kid, there's something of a people pleaser within him, where he wants to make all the people close to him pleased. And for that reason, it can be difficult. If you're in a position like that and you're in people-pleasing mode, it can be difficult to just make a tough decision that's going to disappoint people and going to let some people down. And for Jaden Petit to pick up the phone and call the Wisconsin staff and let them know, hey, I'm actually going to go sign with Oklahoma, that's going to be a hard thing to do. And that's probably not a conversation he's looking forward to, even if it feels like the right business decision for him to go to the University of Oklahoma. But when you have Ben Novak and Maddox Cochran, among others, they lost a pledge from Aiden Reeder, big-time linebacker that flipped to Michigan a couple weeks back. When the dominoes are all starting to fall, and you're seeing the guys with whom you have shared a camaraderie as members of the same recruiting class over a matter of months start to fall off one by one and make the decision that makes the most sense for their flourishing as a football player. What it's going to do is naturally, it's going to increase your level of willingness to just say, screw it, hard conversation or no hard conversation, this is something I got to do, this is something I got to say, this is something I got to get off my chest, and we just got to power through this.
Now, I will say this. In the same article, Cochran did tell the Wisconsin Beat, quote, I wouldn't necessarily say it's growing, meaning the discontent with the commits. He said, I wouldn't say that it's growing. Honestly, I haven't gotten that from anyone. Everyone is still excited and fighting, so I don't think it's going to be a total disaster. Now, when you hear that from Maddox Cochran, trying to, I guess, pour some water on the fire that he inevitably created, like, do you think that pertains to Petit, or has to do with recruits that are not named Jaden Petit?
Well, here's what dropped kind of on the same timeline as the release of that Maddox Cochran story from Badger Blitz. The great Steve Wiltfong, Vice President of Recruiting and Transfer Portal at Rivals.com, dropped an expert prediction this morning and pegged Oklahoma as the final destination for Jaden Petit. And as we have discussed for weeks and weeks on end now, Grayson, this has long been shaping up as a Wisconsin-Oklahoma battle. There are other schools that are trying, have been trying to talk Jaden Petit off his commitment to Wisconsin, but the school that has had the most success for a long, long time now in just maintaining the relationship, making him feel comfortable, and, oh, by the way, succeeding in getting him on campus in late October for a visit, that school is and has been Oklahoma. We are 2 weeks away from signing day right now. The clock is ticking. Time's a-wasting. We're going to know soon enough what Jaden Petit's decision is, for better or worse. But the fact that the Badger class is starting to fall away around him can only be interpreted as a good thing for Oklahoma, especially when said implosion is being accompanied with very candid quotes like that from a guy like Maddox Cochran.
405-651-3439 on the text line. See what you all think. The Waffler says, come on, man. He's not coming to Oklahoma because of our prolific passing offense. He's coming here because we gave him a bag.
Hey, you know what, Waffler? If that's the case, I don't think anybody's going to care. As long as Jaden Petit signs the dotted line for Oklahoma 2 Wednesdays from now, I don't think anybody cares how it came together. If he's in the class, whatever, man. As long as he's wearing the uniform next year, whatever, man. Whatever it takes.
Even more of a Debbie Downer here. Denver from Indiana says, I'm not being a negative Nancy. Besides soul mission and family feeling, which is awesome, but most dudes want to play in the league. What the hell makes them think they will get developed or have a QB that can get them the ball?
The fact that it's the University of Oklahoma, I think, is your biggest selling point in that regard. Because John Mateer, say you're recruiting a high school wide receiver like a Jaden Petit right now. You're only going to catch passes from John Mateer, theoretically, your true freshman season. A year in which you may not even play. And I do think Petit's a guy that's going to get on the field in some capacity as a true freshman. But you're going to overlap with John Mateer for 1 year, and let's call a spade here. Ben Arbuckle is probably not going to be Oklahoma's offensive coordinator by the time these receivers here in the class of 2026 graduate from the University of Oklahoma. In this day and age, more so than ever, coordinator gigs are not long-term gigs. Guys are at one spot for 2, 3, 4 years, sometimes even just one, before they're off for the next big thing or a head coaching opportunity, whatever it may be. You have to have the understanding, if you're an offensive skill position player, that you're committing to a school and not a coach. And if you're a wide receiver committing to the University of Oklahoma, and if you are the staff of the University of Oklahoma making a pitch to a guy like Jaden Petit, here's what you point to. Throughout the entirety of the 21st century, regardless of who's been calling the plays, who's been throwing the passes, who the head coach has been, whatever. The long and distinguished lineage of productive wide receivers at the University of Oklahoma and explosive offense at the University of Oklahoma has remained unchanged. And that's what you count on if you're Jaden Petit. It's not, hey, I'm coming to play in Ben Arbuckle's offense, or hey, I'm coming to catch passes from John Mateer. Those things may happen and probably will happen, at least for a little while. But more so than that, you're coming to play at a place that is going to prepare you for the NFL because it has prepared so many wideouts before you for the NFL, regardless of the play caller or the scheme or the quarterback.
I'm not so confident in the take that Ben Arbuckle will be gone for a head coaching job in 3 years.
Really?
Not with the way the offense has looked this year. I mean, look, it hasn't been a tire fire, but it hasn't been good. Now, again, it's his first year calling plays in the SEC. I'm well aware of that. But, and I know he's got this, I know he's got the personality of a dude. He's got the leadership qualities, and he galvanizes people around him. I get all that. But what's been on the field this year, you're in the 70s to 80s of offense.
Mm-hmm.
People don't bring that in to be their head coach. Maybe it gets better in year 2 and 3.
That's entirely true. However, and Frisco Sooner on the text line, who the hell would want Arbuckle? Let me take you back. Let me take you back 2 months to late September. Do you remember what the first 2 P4 vacancies were? The very first 2 firings that we had at the P4 level were?
Florida and Oklahoma State.
UCLA.
Oh, that's
Oklahoma
right.
State.
Yes, there we go.
And in late September, Ben Arbuckle, who had been the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma for all of 3 games at that point, was right there at the top of the hot board, everybody's hot board, for the UCLA job and the Oklahoma State job. So what I'm emphasizing here is it doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much.
That's fair. That is fair. I agree with that.
If Oklahoma's offense takes a step forward in 2026, and it has been indicated to me that they are ready and willing to deploy their monetary assets in the transfer portal to ensure that that offense can and will take a step forward. If that's what happens, no one's going to care what Ben Arbuckle did in 2025 or what his offense did in 2025. They're going to care about what his offense is doing in 2026. Kind of along that same line, or along those same lines, right? Jeff Lebby wasn't a head coaching candidate at the tail end of the 2022 season, but after 2023, he got the job at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
I mean, the question at the end of 2022 was, will Jeff Lebby leave Oklahoma for a different coordinator gig? Not will this guy become a head coach, because that wasn't even a topic of conversation at that point. So it really doesn't take much. In general, you look across the industry, ADs, athletic departments, decision makers at large are very much prisoners of the moment.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
If you're the sexy hire, if you're perceived as the sexy hire, if you're the hot up-and-comer, if you will, regardless of how much of a resume you have or don't have, you're going to get calls. And so for Ben Arbuckle, just as he was getting thrown around as a potential head coaching candidate at UCLA and Oklahoma State a couple months back, if Oklahoma plays significantly better offense in 2026, he will be right back there on all those hot boards.
Yeah, he will. He will. But you're banking on them playing much better.
And you are.
And look, maybe they don't have to be much better. By the way, somebody in the YouTube chat has said, Michael says they are 87th in offense. Oklahoma is right now. So even if they get better and they're the 51st, you know what you still have to do when you make these coaching hires? This is the last thing I'll say on this because I know we got to go to a break. Mm-hmm. When you make these coaching hires at a place like, say, UCLA, you also are trying to reinvigorate its excitement into the program at a place like UCLA. If somebody looks at your resume and says you were at Oklahoma 2 years and your offense was 87th and in the 50s, does that go a long way toward accomplishing that goal? I would say no. All I'm saying is, and I'm sure he's a quality coach who knows a lot of ball. All I'm saying is what you have put on display in the Power Four right now doesn't warrant. I don't know if he'll be here because he might be a head coach in 2 years.
Final text from Big O. So you're saying Oklahoma's willing to pick up a portal quarterback? No. I'm talking more so about skill position guys and offensive linemen. Surrounding John Mateer with better protection, better weapons in 2026, such that you can be back in the national championship hunt.
Oh, yeah. Again. No, they're going to run it back with Mateer.
Mm-hmm. They are. At this point, they absolutely are. So whether you love it or hate it, folks, Just be prepared for it. 405-651-3439. So much more ahead on a loaded Locked In. It is Wednesday. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is The Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
A public service announcement from Oklahoma Human Services. Hey Oklahomans, did you know updating your SNAP food benefits info is a SNAP? Have you changed jobs or hours? Has your monthly cost of housing changed? Have your household members changed? Maybe you've recently moved. If you're a recipient of SNAP benefits in Oklahoma, visit okdhslive.org to update your information. That's okdhslive.org. It's a SNAP, Oklahoma.
Entrepreneurs in Moore, Norman, and South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. Moore Norman Technology Center's workforce and economic development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, Moore Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about Moore Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
This Thanksgiving, we're grateful for the people in Oklahoma who keep our community moving, the hard workers, the weekend adventurers, and every family heading home for the holidays. At Confidence Ford of Norman, we're celebrating with something special. 20% off of MSRP plus 2.9% APR financing on a new 2025 Ford F-150. It's strength, reliability, and comfort built for every season. Visit us today at 825 North Interstate Drive or online at ConfidenceFord.com. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
I'm Oklahoma Sooner quarterback John Mateer. My job is to move the ball down the field and get the Sooners across the goal line. If you've been injured in an auto accident, you need a pro to be the quarterback of your medical care needs. Dr. Martin Lopez and the OKC Car Crash Clinic are your premier teammates to help you on your road to recovery. Dr. Lopez is a specialty trained MD with decades of experience. Make your best play call and contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH. That's 405-862-7274 or visit okccrash.com.
Hey, it's Darian Oka for Totally Tickets. Hey, Ref Army, you looking for the best place to buy tickets to your next OU game, Thunder game, or the best concerts? My friend Mike, call him Fletch at Totally Tickets has you covered. Visit TotallyTickets.com to find your event today. Oh, and good news, Ref Army, just type in the promo code KREF and get up to 10% off your purchase. Go to TotallyTickets.com now. They are the best.
This is a hilarious text from the producer. Athletic directors have the mentality of simps. They look at the quote-unquote sexy hire at OC, who has very few moments of greatness but gets constant mentions from national pundits, and think to themselves, I can fix her. Does that make Joe Castiglione a simp for the Ben Arbuckle hire? I'm not even sure how much that hire was Joe Castiglione versus how much of it was Brent Venables and Randall Stevenson. Randall Stevenson was involved at that point, wasn't he? I think so. That was about the time he started getting involved. Regardless, onward with a loaded show. here on this Wednesday. Locked in, Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. The text line, 405-651-3439. The show brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Family-owned and operated. If you're on the hunt, I should say, for a new vehicle, check out Dorsey Jones because GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, and Dorsey Jones offers phenomenal service, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. We appreciate their sponsorship. A couple of notes from around the country. One in particular, Dylan Raiola's younger brother
saw this,
decommitted from Nebraska earlier today. He had been committed to the Huskers as their lone QB in the 2026 class, and I think so many interpreted that as maybe a sign of trouble in paradise. So is Dylan Raiola getting in the transfer portal and leaving Nebraska? I don't think so, man. Dylan Raiola burnt the boats to go to Nebraska in the first place because he was committed to Georgia till a week before signing day, and that's when he decided, hey, my dad's a legend at Nebraska. This has always been my childhood dream to go resurrect the Cornhusker program. I'm going to go and do it. Screw everything else. I'm going to be a Cornhusker. So I don't think Dylan Raiola is leaving. I think this is just more so kind of a self-acknowledgement on Dayton Raiola's part that he's not as good as his older brother. And he's a lefty. I'm a lefty. There's nothing wrong with being lefty. But he's a southpaw, low 3-star guy. It's not hard to figure looking at his offer sheet that the primary reason he has an offer from Nebraska in the first place is because of his older brother. And so I'm sure he's figuring with what TJ Lateef has done in relief of Raiola as a true freshman up at Nebraska, plus you got blue chipper Trey Taylor coming in the 2027 class as locked in as anybody has ever been. With his commitment to the Cornhuskers, there's just probably never going to be a window or an opportunity for Dayton Raiola to play in Lincoln. So that screams business decision for the individual to me. Not sure that has anything to do with Dylan and or his situation moving forward. We have a commitment date from 4-star cornerback JuJu Johnson out of Long Beach, California. He will be committing, Mr. Singleton, on December 1st.
Yes, he is.
2 days after he takes his scheduled unofficial visit to the University of Oklahoma. And you usually don't have to overthink something like this. In general, it is overwhelmingly the case that when a guy is committing before official visits and he's got a bunch of unofficials already mapped out and then he sets a commitment date shortly thereafter or shortly after one of his scheduled unofficials, that school is the school that is to be favored. And so it is, as we've discussed now for weeks, with JuJu Johnson and the University of Oklahoma. This is a top 100 player in the 2027 cycle. Oklahoma may be a week and a half away, Grayson, from locking down their third cornerback commit of the 27 cycle. Mikhail McCreary from the state of Texas, already locked in, blue chip kid. Mikhail Davis committed yesterday. We talked about him. He's an Arizona native.
Yep.
Really good player. Really, really underrated right now as a 3-star. And then JuJu Johnson would be the highest ranked of any of the three. And he's a stud, man. Missed the majority of his junior season due to an injury. But prior to that injury, he was in 5-star territory. I believe for a time he was the number 1 cornerback in the class of 2027. What a pickup this would be for Stacey Ford and Jay Valai and the entire Oklahoma football operation.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't let the injury scare you. The kid's 16, 17 years old. He'll be able to return from that, have a senior season where he puts on tape that he has fully recovered from the injury. So I'm not too concerned about the injury thing if there are anybody out there that are. But before he was injured, in his 2024 sophomore year, this dude was the best athlete on the field. Playing wide receiver, playing DB, returning punts. And I know Oklahoma's special teams has gotten a little bit more explosive in the return game this year than it has been in recent past. But this is a dude who could continue to carry that on into 2028, 2029, and so forth. But as a corner, he fits what Jim Nagy and this staff are starting to tell us that they like. Long, physical corners with an attitude who like to stick their head in the run game and cause problems. And he is a major at that. He's got good tracking skills. technically sound, and scared of nobody. He fits in what they're kind of started with Cortland Guillory, to be quite honest with you. And then every other corner that we've talked about in the 26 class and the 27 class follows that sort of archetype as well. So, yes, he will be an excellent addition. 3 blue-chip corners in one class is outstanding. And now you start to look forward to 2029, 2030. Is Oklahoma going to become CBU? Because you got some dudes who
you got the athletes for it.
You got the dudes that could put you on that trajectory.
David from Norman says, I hope we're saving a spot for Samaj Stanford. That kid is an absolute stud. Make no mistake, David, high priority guy for Oklahoma.
If he wants to come to
high
Oklahoma,
priority guy.
He's coming to Oklahoma.
Yes. And that's absolutely the case. Until or unless Oklahoma fills up, and even so, I think they might be willing to make an additional spot for Samaj Stanford just because of his proximity as well as his caliber of play. As good of a football player as he is. Yeah, the light is always going to be on for a guy like Samaj Stanford as well as a guy like Gabe Osborne.
And that's where I was going to go next, because those two actually are playing each other this weekend.
That's right.
Mustangs going up to Broken Arrow for the second round of the playoffs. But so you've got 3 blue-chip corners in the 2027 class now. They're going to take a fourth if Gabe Osborne wants to come on board too?
To my understanding, absolutely.
Okay.
To my understanding, they will obviously take Samaj Stanford as well, if and when he's ready to slide.
Now, he's a safety, though.
He is a safety, and that's important. The other one is Derek Johnson's younger brother, Darius, another Cali kid.
Yep.
And if Darius Johnson wants to make his way to the University of Oklahoma, I mean, that's really what it is at this point. You get JuJu Johnson committed, you can lock in on those 3. Samaj Stanford, Gabe Osborne, Darius Johnson. You can go all out towards getting those 3 on board. And if you do, 6 defensive backs.
And that's my question. Is that a lot? Is that typically, and you've done this a lot longer than I have, so I'm going to defer to you on this. Is that a lot for one singular class to have 4 or 5 corners in it?
It's a heavy class. It's not an obscenely heavy class. There was a time very recently, you rewind to the class of 2024, Oklahoma took 7 that year. And remarkably, all of them were blue chippers, too. Every single one. Let me see if I can rattle off that whole class off the top of my head. Michael Boganowski, Reggie Powers, Jaden Hardy, Michael Patterson-McDonald, who is no longer with the program, Jeremiah Newcomb, Davon Jordan, Eli Bowen. So they stacked it up in 2024.
And it's turned out pretty solid so far.
Mm-hmm. And you look at how 2026 is shaping up for Oklahoma. It's a lighter class, especially at safety. Only commit right now at the position is Nico Jandro.
Correct.
Another name to watch, though, down the stretch here. And it should be a familiar name if you've been tracking recruiting for the last couple of years and you're not a Johnny-come-lately to all of the OU recruiting action, because this is a guy that they've been in conversation with continually and have been playing the long game with very quietly for 2 years, if not more. Markel Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Markel Ford out of Mesquite Horn High School down in Texas, currently committed to
SMU.
Grayson's SMU Mustangs.
Okay, now.
He and Jacob Eberhardt, 2 names to keep in mind as we get close to signing day here, because Oklahoma's hunting another safety. They'd love to get a guy to pair with Nico Jandro, and those appear to be the 2 most likely additions for Oklahoma right now. And I would actually say Markel Ford's a higher likelihood than Jacob Eberhardt is, even though obviously Oklahoma went and saw Eberhardt. Brandon Hall made that visit in person just a couple weeks ago, but Ford was an Oklahoma lean at one time, and a pretty heavy Oklahoma lean. Texas A&M was able to sway him, doing whatever Texas A&M does to kind of turn a recruitment on its head. He wound up decommitting from the Aggies.
So it didn't involve Highway Patrol?
It did not involve Highway Patrol. Then decommitted from the Aggies, turned around not long thereafter, pledged to the Mustangs. He's been committed to SMU for several months. Oklahoma's still in contact, though. They are still in contact. That is a name to know here down the stretch. CD from Hawkland wants to know, will Gabe Osborne be a corner? He's going to be huge in 2 years. And that, thank you for bringing me back around to that, CD, because that was something I wanted to bring up. There are guys, And I think Gabe Osborne, just because of sheer size, is one that falls into this category, as is Darius Johnson. There are guys in that, and I don't even know if you want to call it a projected class, but in that short list of names we just mentioned, that you could see morphing into safeties. So just because you're taking 6 defensive backs and 6 guys that have played corner at the high school level doesn't necessarily mean you're taking 6 corners. Mikhail McCreary could be a safety.
Yes.
Osborne certainly could as well. And then I might just outright like Darius Johnson better at safety than cornerback. So how it will probably break down if Oklahoma is able to land JuJu Johnson, Gabe Osborne, Samaj Stanford, and Darius Johnson, or any combination of those 4 guys in addition to McCreary and Mikhail Davis, is you'll have at least a couple of them that slide to safety.
Yes.
And that's going to be the most athletic defensive backfield in an overall sense that Oklahoma's had in a long, long time.
It certainly would be. Travis from California says, is JuJu Johnson from Long Beach Poly? They always have dudes. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is from Long Beach Poly. Selwyn on the YouTube chat says, whatever happened to the Rowe kid out of Texas? Referring to Zane Rowe, the defensive end.
Oh, Zane Rowe. Yes.
Oh, did you forget about him?
No, I don't know why my brain went to Jaden Rowe for a second. But Jaden Rowe was a blue-chip defensive back signing for Oklahoma several years ago. He's at Kansas State now, transferred after dealing with a bunch of injuries during his time at OU. But Zane Rowe, that's going to be a slow burn. That's really never changed. Oklahoma's in it, certainly. Some may say they lead. I would say if there is a school that does lead right now, it is Oklahoma, but I think Zane Rowe is very undecided as to where he's going to play his college football, and I don't expect that we get a resolution there until official visit season. So that's one we're going to continue to monitor, but look, at the end of the day, I don't know that there's going to be substantial news pertaining to the Zane Rowe recruitment for quite a while yet.
One more before we get out of here. One-star EJ in Louisiana. Can recruits take visits during the playoffs?
That's an interesting question, and I do not know the answer. So, I'm assuming what you're asking, EJ, is, for instance, if Oklahoma's hosting a college football playoff game on December 19th or 20th or whatever it would be, can you host recruits for a college football playoff game? I don't know the answer. I will make an effort to find out in the break. I'll send a few texts, and hopefully one of them is answered by the time we come back. But that's a very good question.
and it's interesting that it pops up because you haven't really been in this situation.
No, you haven't. And obviously that falls after early signing day for the 2026 class. So if you can host recruits for college football playoff games, you'd primarily be gearing those towards 2027 visitors.
Of course.
But still, fantastic question, EJ. I'm glad you asked it. I'm going to dig around on it. 405-651-3439 is the text line. Keep firing away. We got one more segment coming up here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Built for success? How about Built by Law? Law Custom Homes and Construction is here to build your next home. With over 30 years of experience, Barry and Angela Law pride themselves on building the best quality homes in Norman. Locally owned and operated, Law Custom Homes and Construction can also help you with carpet, tile, siding, windows, granite, and roofing. Don't wait. Call Barry Law at 405-919-7118 and let Law Custom Homes build your next quality home. That's 405-919-7118. When it comes to buying a home, you need a winning game plan. At Stride Bank, our mortgage team helps you get from kickoff to closing with competitive rates, local expertise, and personalized service. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we'll be right there on the field with you. Learn more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Stride Bank on your team since 1913 with Oklahoma roots and nationwide reach.
Racing season is here at Remington Park. Giddy up and let's go racing. Thursday through Saturday with first post time at 6 p.m. Come feel the fastest fun around. Remington Park has the winning experience for everyone. Their casino is open 24 hours a day, and new members earn up to $50 of free play. Explore the excitement of the Oklahoma City casino scene with top games, dining, and entertainment options available. Remington Park Racing and Casino. Call 405-424-1000 or visit remingtonpark.com.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Hi, everybody. Toby Rowland here for one of my favorite places to golf, the Trails Golf Club in Norman. The Trails offers great golf activities for the entire family. Men's and Ladies Golf Association events, summer junior golf for the kids, plus club fittings throughout the year. The Trails also has great family social events, monthly special dinners, plus holiday brunches and catering. When you're looking for the perfect place to golf, check out the Trails Golf Club in Norman. Contact Zane Alexander today at 405-364-3790 or visit trailsgolf.com.
CallBrianSmith.com is your 24/7 access to the best car and home insurance in Oklahoma. We specialize in making the process simple, fast, and affordable while still keeping that trusted local touch. Ready to save money on your coverage needs? Call BrianSmith.com at 918-481-7283 or visit us on Facebook and tune into our podcast, Get Canceled, on iTunes or Spotify. Call BrianSmith.com, your easy button for insurance in Oklahoma.
This Thanksgiving, the deals are something to be thankful for at Cavender Ford of OKC. We're serving up incredible lease specials on everything from rugged and adventurous Broncos to hard-working F-150s, all designed to fit your lifestyle and your budget. So go ahead and treat yourself to a test drive today at 7320 Northwest Expressway, or start your shopping online at CavenderFordOKC.com. Cavender Ford of Oklahoma City, where confidence is Cavender.
This winter, hit the court and join the action. The Youth Winter Basketball League is here, open to athletes of all skill levels. Build your game, make new friends, and compete in a fun, supportive environment. With flexible registration options and volunteer coaches focused on teamwork, there's a spot for everyone, whether you're playing for fun or aiming to compete. Don't miss out on early bird pricing. Scholarships are available for Norman residents based on need. Sign up today and make this season unforgettable. Visit YFACsport.com.
You prepared for what might be an Olds take here, Grayson?
Sure. What you got?
Man, it bothers me, and to an extent it just makes me genuinely sad that college football's soul appears to be ebbing away year over year.
Okay.
To a larger and larger extent. I read this tweet earlier. It came across my feed on twitter.com from Ross Dellinger, outstanding national college football reporter, a guy that we cite quite often for Yahoo Sports. In a meeting today in Charlotte, Power Conference commissioners saw a presentation from the Big Ten on a 24-team playoff format. Sources tell Yahoo Sports. Officials agreed to keep further exploring formats beyond 12. SEC officials, as they have said publicly, support 16. And I hate this. I hate this for our great sport. Because we're already living in a world where it feels like any bowl game outside of the bowls that represent the 12-team playoff are essentially meaningless. And we're only moving further and further towards that twilight zone where you have, let's just say you had a 24-team playoff, right? You have 23 games that mean something, and then you have another 20-something that really don't mean much of anything. I wish, I don't know that I would say I wish we could go back to this time, but I do miss the days where it felt like every bowl game was meaningful. And there's give and take, right? Back in the BCS era, you had a lot of subjectivity that went into the national championship matchup, and that was cause for controversy in and of itself. But that was a time where it felt like every bowl game meant something. If we have a 2014 playoff, no, officially, no one will care about the Guaranteed Rate Bowl or the Belk Bowl or the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. And so what I've long said is either make the college football playoff a small playoff. I've always felt the ideal number is 8 teams. Either make it an 8-team playoff or make it a full 64-team freaking playoff.
Okay, now.
I'm not kidding. Eliminate the conference championship games because those are useless these days anyway. Eliminate the conference championship games and start playing a 64-team playoff in the first week of December. That way you have 63 bowl games and every single one of them matters.
I see where you're going with that. Number one, I think you still need to preserve the meaning behind the conference championships. Okay, I don't think that needs to go anywhere. College football does not need to make itself unique to all the other sports, and that includes a lot of professional sports too, in diminishing the conference championship. Because at that point, you're essentially the NBA, where divisions don't even matter. So there's that. 64 is a lot. Going past really 16, now you're talking about taking it past the Super Bowl, right? So at that point, you have, I think, crossed the line of diminishing returns because you've got attrition starting to set in. You've got overlap with recruiting. The transfer portal gets a little bit wonky. And to me, that just further screws up the whole operation. So 24 is a lot. 16 has to be the absolute max. It must be the absolute max. I like 12. I really like 12. 5 conference champions, 7 at-larges. Oh, a little over half the field is at-larges. At that point, if you're not good enough to get into a field where over half the participants are at-larges, you're not good enough to play for a national championship. Period, end of story. But the sanctity of conference championships needs to remain, and that means automatic qualifiers. And then keep it at 12. If you go to 16, I'm not gonna make a big deal about it. But anything past that, nah. Now we're crossing the point of diminishing returns. But getting rid of the conference championships is an absolute no for me. Those need to stay.
Gator on the text line says, nobody cares about those Rudy Poo Bowls anyway. Half the teams sit out for pro or portal. Well, guess what, Gator? You know what would solve that as well? A 64-team playoff field.
Yeah, making them mean something, yes.
When every single game means something, there are no meaningless football games for players to skip. Another thing that makes me sad about the state and the future of our great sport is, and I will say I very much respect the fact that it feels like Brent Venables and his staff at Oklahoma are doing a good job fighting against this. But college football has become overtaken by mercenary culture, where school pride and tradition don't mean much of anything anymore. And so it really does and really did bring me joy, not necessarily for Oklahoma's sake, but for college football's sake, to see basically that entire team up on the fence after beating Alabama in front of the pride of Oklahoma singing the alma mater. Because it's very clear, and to a man, you can see that this is the case for guys like David Stone and Robert Spears Jennings and Michael Hawkins and certainly John Mateer and Heath Ozida and so on and so forth. The University of Oklahoma means something to these guys, and the brotherhood that is represented in the locker room at the University of Oklahoma means something to these guys. But it's not that way everywhere, and it's not that way for everyone. Let me give you a very relevant counterexample. When they were singing the alma mater on Saturday, Jaden Ott still had his helmet on. He was just kind of hanging around in the background, didn't have the one up. He was just kind of there. And for a guy like Jaden Ott, like, here's the thing. I don't say that to single out Jaden Ott because I don't and can't really fault him for it. Why is Jaden Ott at the University of Oklahoma? It's not because he loves the University of Oklahoma. It's not because he has any reason to love the University of Oklahoma. Jaden Ott was in the transfer portal in April and signed less than 24 hours to the University of Oklahoma without ever having taken a campus visit. I think we all understand why a guy like that is wearing the uniform. And look, that's business. That's how it is these days. But I don't really fault a guy when he's completely checked out of all of the pageantry that comes along with being a college football player at a given institution. I just hope we don't lose that. I hope we don't completely lose that.
I agree with you. I agree with you. The only thing I would push back from that, from the mercenary culture, is that some players leave to get out of inept situations.
No doubt.
And when you say mercenary culture has taken over, I think sometimes it allows the players to be a scapegoat and not the leadership of certain institutions who have failed and have been derelict in their duties, whether it's coaching, whether it's administration. Instead, I would just point to, hey, instead of saying mercenary culture, I would say, hey, Brent Venables, you've done an excellent job creating a culture where people want to stay. And when you do that, people do stay. How many transfers out of Ohio State do you see? Now, some leave because, hey, I need to go somewhere where I want to get on the field because I love to play and I want to play. Okay, no problem. But how many people do you see transferring out of Ohio State? How many people have you seen in recent years transferring out, and I'm talking about impactful people here, transferring out of Texas in recent years? Why? Because the culture and because the leadership is there to where they want to stay. So instead of decrying that people move around, I would just say, let's point out the positives of what Brent Venables has built and Ryan Day has built and Steve Sarkisian has built that are making these kids and young adults want to stay put.
Mm-hmm. And my whole thing is I hope there is more of that. And I hope that's retained. I hope that's preserved. I hope those cultures never go by the wayside as we continue to march into whatever the future of college football holds. All right, what else do we have to get to? One official visitor this weekend. We've talked about him already, but Dane Bathurst, recent Duke decommit from Carmel, Indiana. Carmel, Indiana. Carmel, Indiana. Originally from Tampa, Florida, but playing his senior season in the state of Indiana, is going to be on campus with Oklahoma this weekend. I am told he will be the only official visitor on campus this weekend. You look ahead to the LSU game on November 29th, Oklahoma will have several official visitors. Jonas Muya, Malik Franklin, Noah Abibi, Messiah Mickens is a big one. But this weekend, as far as official visitors are concerned, it's all about Dane Bathurst. And this is just kind of a mad sprint to the finish line between Oklahoma and Vanderbilt and Nebraska, and who's the other school? Michigan State? No, Louisville. Louisville is what it is. Vanderbilt, Louisville, Oklahoma, Nebraska. Those are the four schools that are going to be in this thing all the way until signing day for Dane Bathurst. Now, Oklahoma gets their shot at him this weekend. Nebraska will get their shot at him next weekend. So the odds that you see a commitment from Dane Bathurst immediately following this official visit or on this official visit, I would say pretty slim. This is going to more be about Oklahoma establishing the upper hand in this recruitment and just hoping it can stick through that Nebraska visit. It's not an impossibility, but with where he's at, having just decommitted from Duke last week and reopening his recruitment with 3 weeks left until signing day, you would figure he's going to give all of his options an intentional look before he makes a final decision. So if you can convince this kid to shut it down, great, man. And at this point, I can't really put anything past Stacey Ford in particular.
Nope.
But I wouldn't count on getting a resolution here until early December.
And it's going to be the school that blows the kid away because you're dealing with this in such a really condensed amount of time. So you're going to have to blow the kid away. He'd leave a lasting impression. This isn't going to be something that we build up the communication and we establish a deep relationship. Can you make that huge impact? And that's what that's what's going to decide the race between the schools that you just listed off.
Best way to do that?
Win a good football game.
Win a football game, and you better hope that environment Saturday is every bit as lively as it was for the Michigan game. and the Auburn game and the Ole Miss game. And it should be, right? Like, I don't know offhand what the weather forecast looks like on Saturday.
It's going to be a little chilly.
Come on, man. This is an Oklahoma team that's playing a game with real college football playoff implications in the month of November. That hasn't been the case since 2021.
Nope.
And that was in the Big 12, in the 4-team playoff era. The game's changed, folks. It just means more. All right, thanks for hanging with us today on Locked In. We're going to do it all again tomorrow. But for Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. We are signing off for now, turning things over to Tyler McComas and Travis Davidson on The Rush. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll see you tomorrow.